calling to order the Transform and Teaching Learning Committee meeting at 5:15. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir, there are no requests for public comments.
We'll move on to our next item, strengthening our teacher pipeline. Presenter Dr. Veronica.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Miola, senior team and audience. This afternoon, we will be sharing some of the work that we've been doing to strengthen our teacher pipeline, some work that is very near and dear to our heart. And so I'll start with a little bit of a quote here. So and I'm going to take you back to our previous strategic plan. So that first part is talking about how we can use implementation. So if you remember, in our last strategic plan, we did a lot of work around talent acquisition. And in particular, the first part of that quote. Because while candidates were coming in, they knew their content, we would interview them, and we had a pretty good understanding of where they fell on the level of content. When we adopted our last strategic plan and we created a new talent acquisition process, it was for this reason. Yes, we need to know their knowledge of the content. The other part is we want to make sure that they have the skills that they need to be successful in a teaching assignment. So that's kind of where we ended up with our talent acquisition. So I want to share some statistics with you. We have been working with Region 1 and Mrs. Maldonado along with some of our human services team have been attending sessions. So I'm going to let you just kind of think a little bit about these statistics and how they're going to impact us here in the future. So you think about projected elementary openings, 743. It's quite a number, right? And in our district in particular, we always are looking for bilingually certified teachers. So in our region, we're projected to have 133 successful candidates that are bilingually certified. So you take those first two statistics, coupled with those second two there, I mean the 65 and the 58, we know in our district that we always take a proactive approach, and we're forecasting things that may hit us in a couple of years so that we can start the work today. So everything that we've done in the work around teacher pipelines is critical, particularly when you think about novice teachers. Mrs. Maldonado right now is working on redesigning our new teacher induction program, and so we've expanded that quite a bit. So I just wanted to start there because that really sets the urgency for the work that we're doing with teacher pipelines. The other thing that we've learned that has been a huge impact in our district are the lessons that we've learned from Holdsworth. So we, very often, you'll hear us talk about a 70-20-10 model. And so everything that we are working on right now with Teacher Pipeline follows this model, where if we're going to successfully create a pipeline, 70% of their learning needs to come from job-related experiences. So today when we talk about things like the residency, step up, things of that nature, it's because we've seen that the 70% has impacted their ability to be successful in their first year of teaching. 20% coaching. Nobody comes ready-made. And so 20% of success with our teachers we know is going to be coaching. Both instructional coaching, but also coaching from their supervisors. And then lastly, 10% will come from their formal education. All of those statistics, everything that we learned from Holdsworth, got us to where we are today. We're going to jump into, Mrs. Maldonado will be explaining a little bit about the work we're doing around teacher pipelines. I do want to say a huge thank you because all of the programs that we have right now in teacher pipeline would never have been a reality today without our UTRGB partners. So we have the dean, Dr. Alma Rodriguez, joining us, as well as Dr. Steve Chamberlain, huge champions. And then of course our principal that is doing Step Up with us, that will now start the residency, Melissa Amaras from Leamings Elementary. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Maldonado so she can talk a little bit more about the programming and some of our things looking ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Cordat. Madam Chair, all of our board members, Dr. Noyola, and our administration and audience. So I want to talk to you about Grow Your Own first off. So Grow Your Own is actually a program that is in our system right now. We've actually had this in our system for 6 years. And it is actually for certified employees that actually have the intention to go in to become an educator. So these individuals are actually wanting to be teachers in the classroom, and we've actually been awarded a grant for this program of over $100,000. And that is helping us for these individuals to either complete their actual education, or if they need help completing an ACP program for their alternative certification program, that'll help them there as well as to help offset any of the cost for testing. So sometimes that is a burden to some of our individuals, and so they may need to pay for testing or pay to retest, and so this is something that is going to help these individuals. Through this, they also have training from our Human Services Department that Ms. Scoggin helps to lead. And so through this, they are actually having the opportunity to learn things like interviewing skills and help to prepare them so that when they are ready to be hired as a classroom teacher, they're ready to step foot into the classroom. So that's our Grow Your Own program. Another program that we have, these next two that we're talking about, are actually for individuals that are UTRGV. So these are for seniors right now that are in UTRGV that are really wanting to take their residency in a different way. So they can either take their student teaching experience in a 6-month traditional setting, or now they have an option to participate in Step Up, which is a year-long program, or teacher residency, which we'll hear about in just a minute. So with Step Up, I always tell the story of let's take a walk. So when Dr. Corton in 2015 pulled me aside, we were walking down the hallway and she said, let's take a walk. And I said, okay, where are we going? So she said, we're just gonna take a walk and let's start talking about what we have available for students at UTRGV to come and have student teaching in our school district. And so it was on that Let's Take a Walk adventure that we began a legacy in 2015 with Step Up with UTRGV, and it's through that partnership that we have been able to actually inspire many individuals to go on and further be hired as teachers here in HCISD. Some of them now, we have them as instructional coaches, we have them as TIA individuals, earning the highest distinctions. And this has also allowed us to embark on a legacy because not only have they replicated what we're doing here in HCISD, but now they're actually replicating that model throughout the RGV and statewide. So through those successes, we've been able to have a lot of celebrations here in Step Up. Additionally, we have now the teacher residency. Teacher residency is something that we are working on right now in an inception year. So it's really in the planning and design phase for launch of 23-24. So in 23-24, what we're doing with teacher residency is it will look a little bit different because these individuals will actually be paid. And the reason that they're paid is they have additional duties as they're going through their residency experience. And so they will be on campus additional days. So they're on campus 3 days in the fall, 3 days a week in the fall rather, and 4 days in the spring. They also will fully participate in the new teacher program. So that will allow these individuals to be fully prepared to start their first year of teaching really with the knowledge of a second year teacher. So that's something new that these people will have a leg up into our system. As well, we're expanding opportunities for this group because through a gradual release model, we're really help preparing them to be ready to lead the class fully, completely, and independently of that classroom teacher, which is something our Step Up students don't do. And the reason we're preparing them to do that is that we have what's called a release time model, where the mentor teacher is going to be able to step away to perform other instructional duties at the campus to really magnify the impact of all that great teaching knowledge from those mentor teachers, to help out with other new teachers that might be infused in our system, to help out with growing our Step Up program that's being moved to Bonham Elementary, and also to help with any other teachers that just might be in need of assistance at their campus. So they'll be able to help in that way. And finally, we have the Aspiring Teacher Pathway. So Dr. Corton recognized a bunch of individuals in this room, but I would be remiss not to acknowledge one other individual, and that's Mrs. Alma Hernandez. Alma, would you wave? You may have heard that the Aspiring Teacher Pathway has had a breakout year at UTRGV Harlingen Collegiate High. The success that we have had over there has been instrumental in inspiring other individuals. These are students in our system, 9th through 12th grade, that are actually wanting to go into the education profession. And so not only are we starting with individuals that are already in our system, maybe paraprofessionals, not only are we looking at seniors at our UTRGV that want to come in, but we're starting as early as 9th grade. So we are really working to develop that teacher pipeline and really inspire them. And the way that we're doing that is one of the things that Alma has brought to the table is she has launched a distinguished lecture series where she actually has her students conferencing with other educators from around the globe. So they have got to meet other educators from Singapore, Europe, and so on. And so that is something that they've been able to embark on and see that education doesn't necessarily just mean a classroom teacher, but there are lots of fields in education and what that can potentially look like. The other thing is that we've expanded the pathway. So this year we've had the junior experience as well. And so the junior experience, what they've been able to do is actually go in and co-teach with a bottom teacher. They've been doing this in 2nd and 3rd grade in preparation for the STAR exam for the 3rd grade teachers and those students and getting them ready to go. But those students have been able to expand their experiences and get ready for what it will really look like to be in the classroom in front of kids. And finally, based on all of those great celebrations she's had some increased enrollment. So this is the biggest celebration, is that both her enrollment from her freshmen and her sophomores has increased in the pathway. And I told her, well, your freshman numbers are great, they look wonderful, and she said, no, I'm most proud of my sophomore numbers. And the reason she said that is, for the sophomores, they didn't know they wanted to go to education, but they were sitting there in the building and watched all the great experiences those freshmen were having and said, I want to be a part of that too. And so that's the success story at the Aspiring Teacher Pathway there at UTRGV Harlingen Collegiate High. And I have to do a shameless plug, I promised her I would. So she's having the showcase tomorrow. That's going to be there at UTRGV Harlingen Collegiate High at 5:30. So if you want to see all the great things that have been happening this year in that pathway, please make your way over there. They would love to have you. We've got a lot of great things set up for you. So we hope you can make it out to see all the great things the kids have been doing this year. So with all of those celebrations that we've had in the teacher pipeline, it's important to know that we have a lot of things in CTE. We build experiences for students, right? Beyond the classroom is our tagline. But what we wanted to do is make sure we're building our own pipeline, right? And so that's something that we really wanted to hit with this strengthening our teacher pipeline. And with that being said, one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did as part of that strengthening the teacher pipeline is really build that comprehensive plan to make sure that we are addressing the areas of need of that workforce. So building our teacher pipeline is our inspiration and the way to go. All right. So at this time, we just want to open it up for questions and conversations. All to Dr. Portana.
Of course.
I was going to ask, is it the aspiring, I was at Jefferson and, or what other school?
It's a different program that they partner with TSTC.
No, these were, she said this was a sophomore or a junior. One of them was from HHS, and it was when I was doing the ILC tours, and so some of them were there, and I wasn't sure where that. before.
Okay. In the ILC? Yeah.
They were.
We hired co-ops in our INLCs because they have helped us with kind of keeping the operation going.
Yeah, no, they seem very engaged and involved in that too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So question, first of all, congrats on all the different programming there. It's obviously inspiring folks to choose teaching profession. That's incredible. So thank you for that. And thanks to our university partners. My question is, and when we first created this university campus here, this Lake High, one of the things I know that the board thought of was this could be sort of a catalyst for people to launch people into professional schools, right? It wasn't sort of just a bachelor's, just about it wasn't about associate's degree, for one. That's not that that's bad, it's not, but it wasn't for that purpose. And in our minds, it wasn't just for bachelor's degrees, it was sort of beyond, right? It was folks that wanted to get their master's, folks that wanted to, become dentists or doctors or engineers and that kind of stuff. And so we always saw that as a launch pad for advanced degrees. This is actually, I think, a wonderful opportunity here, in my opinion, because I feel that all these folks that now want to become teachers because of all the amazing work you're doing, I would just love to see, how do we ensure that those teachers are then, when they graduate, hopefully they're all staying here, which we don't have any control over. Maybe they go somewhere else, maybe they teach in PSJ or wherever, How do we ensure that they get master's degrees? And how do we ensure that maybe we create a master's program that could be, and I know that's not for us, that's up to our university partners, but how do we figure out, is there a way to encapsulate some sort of a master program, and not only with this district, but just using that campus, because it seems to me like a great opportunity to use that space. How do we figure out a way to get more, and even teachers that are in the district now, doing master's degrees there at that campus, how do we take it to the next level? Because I would love to see, and I think, I know that some folks at UT Austin even have interest in creating, synergy and partnerships or collaboration. I don't know what you big educators, big words you use to describe these types of things.
Everything.
But we would love to see even those folks that choose to go away to UT Austin, have them come back and get their master's degrees at UTRGV. More importantly, come teach and work here in the Rio Grande Valley. But could we use that space somehow? And I'm asking a question for all y'all, in the room, because I think this is an amazing collective impact partnership. How can we even do more with that space? Because it is a super, super special space. And it sounds like it's already has immense successes because of the partnership. Could we do something like that? I mean,
So I don't know if you're bugging our phones, but Dr. Rodriguez, I don't know if you saw that she was smiling because
I get all the emails.
It's going straight to him. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a conversation and we said, wouldn't it be great if we could ... and we'll fill in the blanks when the time is right. But it's specifically about master's programs. And how do we take these models and start aligning, if they're going to take a curriculum course, first of all, what does it look like to be hybrid and run them through that a little quicker than the traditional timeline, first of all. Secondly, wouldn't it be great if we could have the course sequence and say, during this time in our school year, we study finance. So guess what? You're going to take this finance course at this time, and part of the practicum is going to be with our CFO. And really starting to align that, bringing them into the summer. We do a lot of work in the summer to plan, and a lot of times our teachers see the end product, they don't see what happens in the summer. So we just had that conversation. And what I heard her say is, yes, I'm all in, let's start. So that's our next big push, is how do we innovate that piece so that it's attractive for people, and look at financial impact, what does that look like, and also time, because those are the two biggest things that we hear from our staff.
You don't have to, but you don't say anything? Or?
No, we're definitely very interested in partnering at the graduate level as well. We are very appreciative of all of these partnerships that have been highlighted and what we are able to do together to prepare excellent teachers for the children in this district and the community. So yes, definitely looking forward to expanded opportunities.
Yeah, and I don't know what percent of our teachers right now on Harlingen have like master's degrees or above, you know, but this is say start with masters. I mean, but I would like to see with this opportunity, with this partnership and this campus that we have here, if we think innovatively about it, I would love to see that number keep going up and up and up. Not only the new students graduating and getting their masters, but even teachers going back and getting their masters because of this. And I think we got to figure out a way to pay to help pay for that. You know, I mean, that's just, I think it's a no-brainer. But I mean,
Sure. And we have a lot of teachers that want a master's degree in teacher leadership, because that was the other big area too. And Mrs. Amadas is saying yes, because several of her teachers that have helped us with the Step Up program, they want to leave the classroom. So this release time model is going to be perfect for them, but then how do we bring in a master's opportunity for them so they continue to help us with building that pipeline? They've done amazing work, and I would venture to say that when it's all said and done, that's just going to be the way we do business is with the teacher residency. So excited about that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Thank you. Move on to the next item, mental health update. Student wellness specialist, Dr. Joseph Hill.
Good evening, Mr. Hymas, committee members, audience, Dr. Noyola. So this is going to be an exciting transforming and teaching learning topic. It's going to be a first, and it's not because I'm presenting to you today, nor is it because Ms. Gamboa is presenting to you today, but we have some special guests that are going to be joining us in a little bit. And so we're here this afternoon to talk about our student wellness specialists. So earlier this year, we created 2 new positions in our school district that was based on student data that we received from our student advisory board, information that we received from counselors in our school district about the mental well-being of our students and needing to address particular issues that we saw in our school district. And so this idea of student wellness specialists was developed. And so we had 2 excellent ladies that jumped into the role of student wellness specialists. And so this afternoon, we're really going to look into what exactly a student wellness specialist does in our school district. Many times you see them in photos on social media. They have, some guests with them, and so, but they're more than that as well. And so Ms. Gamboa is going to delve into that a little bit, so you can really understand what the role is. But always looking at our strategic plan, our new strategic plan. Goal 2 talks about well-rounded graduates and developing the whole child. And this is what student wellness specialists are all about. It's about ensuring student well-being. It's about nurturing the whole child. And that's exactly what our student wellness specialists are doing. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gamboa, our Director of Guidance and Counseling. And I'm also going to call up our student wellness specialists and the guests that are going to steal the show from the human beings this afternoon. And that is Levi and Piper, who are also who play big roles in our school district as well. So Ms. Gamboa.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, Dr. Noyola, and the senior team, everyone here. We really are very excited to present this information to you. I hope that you guys will hear what I have to say. It's a little bit difficult. I understand they do steal the show sometimes, but we love to have them. They serve so many purposes, as well as, of course, our student wellness specialists. So really excited to share that with you this afternoon. So again, with this we have Ms. Angela Totman, and she actually has 17 years of experience as a counselor. 16 years were here with us at Harlingen HCISD. And we have also with us Ms. Kathy Stedman, who has a total of 22 years as a counselor, and lucky for us, we have her here at HCISD as a counselor for 11 years. And so this year, they did take on the role as student wellness specialists and have been doing a phenomenal job. I do not want to leave out Mr. Levi and Ms. Piper are certified emotional support animals. They're here as well. And of course, we will discuss the role that they play in addition to the role that our student wellness specialists play as well. So in looking at our different talking points, we want to talk about how did we assess our student need.
They're looking at the presentation too.
I know, yeah. They're so good. They really are. They really are.
Making sure we got it right.
Yes, they've got her back. They're really awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna give them the clicker because. So again, how did we assess our student need? What are the roles and responsibilities of our student wellness specialists? And my favorite part of the presentation is what is that impact on our students and staff that we've seen already this year. Looking at how did we assess our student need? Dr. Villarreal mentioned, the advisory board, the feedback that we received. It was qualitative and quantitative data. That's very important when we're looking at student wellness. The feedback is first and foremost. So last year we did establish a district student wellness committee who helped in a great way to provide that feedback to us with regards to our students and what are their needs. Again, last year they came back from the pandemic and they came back very different. So we wanted to make sure that we were not only meeting the needs of their academics, but the social emotional needs and the mental health wellness as well. So that was also very important. And so again, as Dr. B mentioned, there was a lot of information that we looked at. As far as the data, we also looked at the crisis intervention data, and the way that we receive that data is at the campuses whenever there's an outcry by a student. And our counselors, I want to say, at the campuses do a phenomenal job. They are at the forefront, meeting the student needs. And so whenever there is an outcry by a student, they follow the procedures here at HCISD to ensure, of course, that the parents are aware, that the parents are aware of resources, and they also provide documentation that is required that comes through the Guidance and Counseling Office. And so we are able to track that data to really make sure that we're keeping an eye on those kids and monitoring those students that have had outcries. And that also goes to our threat assessment data that we receive. Any students that have been through a threat assessment review, we always want to follow up with the mental health piece because we feel that that is extremely important, as well as they transition back to the schools. And so looking at all of these needs, we came to a grand conclusion. The students are needing connections. That was the outline that came up everywhere. I know a lot of times you may hear, well, that student is attention seeking. I always try to say, let's think of it as that student is connection seeking because those behaviors stem from somewhere. And we need to understand that. So they're looking for those connections. And when we flip our mind to kind of think about that, it really changes the perspective as a community, as a faculty, as staff, and fellow students. So we knew that they needed those connections, and we knew that we needed to go above and beyond to try to reach them where they were. So our student wellness specialists do a phenomenal job, and so these are just some of the things that they do. Primarily, number one, they do help support with the student counseling piece and follow-up. Like I mentioned, the counselors do a phenomenal job at the campuses, but some students are very high-need students. They may have a diagnosis, they may be suffering from anxiety or depression, and they may need more consistent care at a higher level. So what the counselors do, of course, first and foremost, they have that communication and that collaboration with the parent and letting them know what our resources are. We do have a wonderful licensed professional counselor that's available in the evenings from 5 to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday at no cost to HCISD students, no referral needed and no appointment. However, for different reasons, our kids don't always get to her, right? And so the counselor continues to follow up. We need to make sure that that student will be receiving services, whether it's with our LPC or if it's a community partner, right? A counselor in our community, and we provide those resources as well. But sometimes for, again, whatever reason, they are not provided those resources. So we have to continually follow up. And this is where they play a huge role, because the counselor can send a referral or refer a student to our student wellness specialist to make sure that they are meeting those needs of the student, that they are meeting with the student on a regular basis, providing those counseling services at the school for the student. And of course, that is with parent consent. And so it's been a really great resource for our kids, and they have quite a bit of students already that they have on their caseload that they're able to see on a regular basis, and they always continually follow up with the counselor and with the parent and building that relationship together. And that's also for the threat assessment review students as well, so they're continually monitored. In addition to that, we've talked about in the past how important mental health awareness is. And the education piece, because we really need to break down those stigmas so that we are able to reach more students. And so I really feel as a district, it has made such a huge impact with regards to that. So they do, the specialists do offer presentations to the students at the campuses, either in the classroom, by a cohort, at lunchtime, any opportunity that the campus gives, they go out there and really try to reach out to those students. And every one of those interactions involves a mental health awareness piece. So as Dr. B mentioned, it's not just about Levi and Piper and the kids love the dogs and the dogs are amazing, but that's a great starting point with the conversation of mental health, right? And I've seen it myself. It's extremely impactful when the students start to open up and when the staff starts to open up. They also present on the resources that we have available here in the district, suicide prevention, coping skills, anti-bullying. There's so much that they help with regards to the presentations at the campuses. And the monthly presentations, they have participated as well, where we bring in the parents in the evenings once a month, as well as community members. We are always available for crisis intervention support at the campuses, so it really builds that team. So if there's a counselor that's needing guidance, or if there's a campus and that counselor, they only have one counselor, and maybe they weren't there that day, that campuses know they can always reach out to either one of us, and we will definitely be there to support. So it's great to know that the campuses will always have that support. And as you know, we have initiated some really great programs this year, so they help with that rollout and ensuring that those programs are rolled out at the campuses with fidelity. That's super, super important. And again, the community support and outreach, we partner with Tropical Texas, Palms Behavioral, the Children's Bereavement Center, Buckner. We're always working with them to build and establish those relationships. So my favorite part, this is all great, but this is awesome, is the impact that we've already seen at the campuses with the students and the staff, having the student wellness specialists available to the campuses. They get called on a very regular basis to go to the camp. They were just at, were you guys? Yes, they were just on Friday with a huge group of students, which is fantastic, in connection with Hope Squad. So we're all working together for this mental health awareness piece. And so again, the impact that we've seen, students we may not have been able to reach or grasp, right, or capture, they've helped us with that, right? Because the wellness specialists have helped us with that. And I will say that there are 88 students that are on their caseload, and so those students have been getting a lot of help from our wellness specialists as well. And then again, our programs, we've got Hope Squad, Watchdogs, Capturing Kids' Hearts. Those are all new, and they're really playing a big role there. And Character Strong and Quaver are social emotional. And so you may see them kind of roaming around. So this is how they work. This is off script, guys, but I want to share this with you because it's really cool. No, I really want to share this with you. When they go into a room,
They go straight to the person who needs the most help.
Yeah. I do want to say, I have seen it myself firsthand. And so they are trained and certified, and they're working. It's a job, and at the end of the day, they're tired just the way we are after a long day at work. So we. You're the winner.
You need more counseling. You didn't take over days off.
And so So at the end of the day, they're making those connections. They're making those connections with their students, and by they, I mean our wellness specialists and Levi and Piper. It really opens those lines of communication. We were at Harlingen City Limits at the Autism Awareness event, and at those different events, they come because they see the cute dogs, but then we get to tell them what they do, what is their job, and how does that relate to what Harlingen offers. And it's just amazing. You know, we've had parents that stop us and pull us aside and say, I want to talk to you about my child. And that's a perfect opportunity, and that's another way to bring forth that awareness. What can I do? I've been worried about my child, and so those conversations are pivotal because the more that we can get the word out that HCISD has so many resources available for mental health, the better that our students will be. And the more we're talking about it, I think the better we will all be.
Can you tell us more about the dogs, like the breeds and how old they are and that kind of thing?
I'm gonna give that over to Miss Stedman because they are actually her personal dogs that she made sure that they got their certifications and everything.
So Levi's the original dog, working in the school district, and this is his 5th year, the end of his 5th year. So he's been actually working for HCISD for 35 human years. Because he started training when he was 2 years old at Kano, so he's been working quite a while. So I started with him with the training. He's miniature schnauzer. They're brother and sister. They're litter mates. They're 7 years old. Both of them are 7. I got him in Edinburgh through Michael Gerleman as a teacher at HHS. Had a friend that was looking for homes for some puppies that weren't taken out of the litter. So that's how I got them. I really didn't I didn't get them with the intention of training them to do this. That was an idea born out of conversations between Mrs. Vivian Bauer and I, and Kano. Piper is ending her first full year of working, doing this kind of work. She trained the last year I was at Kano last year, so she still needs some work. She can be a little resistive still. She's a little aversive to her harness, but they both are doing really well. They sense students or adults who are in a highly emotional state.
You can say that again.
They're going to celebrate
Oscar, you're
Now we're going to call you the master of the obvious. We already knew that.
So they actually sense this through their olfactory system, and a dog's sense of smell is 10,000 to 100 times 1,000 stronger than a human being's. So we're in a highly aroused state. Physically, our body does certain things. We sweat, we get heart palpitations, and they sense this through their sense of smell. And they will seek these kids out. They will direct me to them.
6 or 7 years ago, I went out to Rodriguez, and Norlene was out there with her.
Ariel.
With Ariel. And I had hurt my back, I mean bad. And I was just sort of limped, I was late, and I sat down on the side of the wall, and the dog came over and got up and put her head in my lap, and she said, "Are you hurt? Are you sick?" And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because she's picked you out." And maybe it's the emotional test. But it was amazing because she just put her head down on my lap, and she said, "She's sick?" And I said, "Yes, my back is badly injured." And she said, "Not badly, it was her treatment." Anyway, but I thought that was amazing.
That's amazing. It's amazing. I had kids, I was at Kano for 10 years, and the last 4 years I was there, at the end of every school year, I would have a student come from one of the high schools and invite the dogs to graduation, to go be at their graduation. And some of them were kids I didn't work intensively with the dogs with, just passing by, interacting in the hallway, just a short interaction, broke up their day, they put their phone away, and they were just fully present with the dogs. They're just the kid and the dogs.
So you go to different campuses?
Yes, we go to every campus in the district. The dogs have done pretty well at acclimating to all these new buildings and people. it's been an interesting year. It's been an interesting transition for the dogs. And for me, and I'm sure for Angela as well, just becoming a mobile FedEx counselor type. That's what we kind of tease each other that we drop off little packages of hope and education, mental health wise. You know, we're out there all the time, and if I don't work the dogs every day, and I really have to be very patient with them because I need them to want to come to work. So I don't force them. But I try to give them half days and rest days, and so far they're doing really well with that.
How much more does Levi get paid than Mike?
They get paid in bones and treats, really, and love, and love. A lot of love from the kids. Some of the hardest core kids that I worked with at Kano, you know, that would not ever acknowledge them in front of anybody else. Would be sitting in the back of my office on a love seat with the dogs, and their phone would go away and their hearts would open up. And they're just an amazing counseling tool. They really are.
So my comment was just going to be, I feel like I see you all everywhere.
Well,
And, you know, I think, you know, when I hear all the campuses and I see all of the, how much is there for you all to go around, you know, it's just, I see.
Thank you.
Yes.
No,
I feel like, you know, this is a huge piece,
Yeah.
right? And so I think, you know, as we start seeing more of this need, right? Thoughts on how we're going to expand this, because that's a lot to go around.
Thank you for
all the campuses, you know, all the events too, because I see all the events and the presentations and the,
I really appreciate the acknowledgement of that, because I'm really feeling it. And I want to thank Angela, because she kind of got hooked into this dog thing, right? Like, she's been awesome with the dogs. The dogs love her, and she helps me. I couldn't do what I do without the help that Angela gives me, so I really appreciate it. She's all in.
This is a program, I think it's a great presentation. It's so important, it works in with everything we were talking about, is campus security. I mean, every night you go home and you watch the news about some incident somewhere, and I mean, more than ever, these kids need more help. I don't know why that is, but it is. And thank you for all you're doing.
I can see more of that
Can we
need.
get a board picture with
Can I share a couple slides?
Sure.
real quick? I just wanted to show you the connections with the students and teachers as well. They've also presented, this was our instructional coaches during Instructional Coach Week. They did coping skills with them. So our specialists did a great job. And then of course, these are parents on the outside. So you can see what the effect even on the parents. And they're coming and having those conversations. News reporter, Harlingen PD, and then our family here. So I didn't want to leave without our family. I had to get those in. So yeah, so they do a wonderful, wonderful job, and we're really blessed and appreciate your support for all of this, definitely.
How about in front of the HCISD?
Oh, yeah.
We just have to erase all the bad notes.
I'll let you erase it first.
Jumping all over your head.
What's that?
I want to erase
Yeah,
that.
exactly. It won't come off?
Oh,
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Maybe sign that sanitizer.
Yeah.
She just kind of looks like she belongs with you. She mentioned collar and
You want a picture with the dog?
Oh, yeah.
I got it. Oh, there we go. It's working. Oh, yeah, it's right there. Okay.
Keep it going.
taking a picture.
It just got good over All right.
Well, let's go.
Let's get a picture. There we go.
Under the HCISD.
With the dogs in the middle, so
Yeah.
split
Yes.
They got the dogs real quick.
I'll go over there with Belinda.
Somebody might have to bark over there.
Yeah. Did you always hear that your daughter was to college?
Might have to call.
Levi, look over here, Levi. There you go, Levi. There we go, got it. Both looking over here. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right.
Don't you feel better?
I feel better.
Right?
Yes, I do. I want to sit down, somebody, I want to treat you.
Maybe. Good job, sir. Good question. All right.
But she said,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to have a leave.
Yeah, we're gonna turn the